sometimes when people think of sustainability, they think that it's this crazy big thing and you have to be a tree hugger and you have to be all about green, but it goes deeper than that, and it's about kindness and being human.
I went through life not really knowing what I wanted to do, and then I discovered sustainability through my master's degree and realized not enough people are doing anything about this.
Youth across Canada have been brought together through Eco-Internships, formerly the Sustainable Eastern Ontario Internships Program, which matches post-secondary graduates or soon to graduate with environmental and sustainability charities and not-for-profits.
This internship opportunity, well, firstly, it means stability to me. So at a wage that is above minimum wage.
The Frontenac Arch Biosphere Network has taken on 3 interns, and it's awesome. It's fantastic so far.
I really like it. Why? Because I get to organize something that I know will impact the life of some people. A community. It's not some abstract thing that I'm doing. It's something very concrete. It's very ground level.
The program helps to take out the financial, training, and HR burden off of small organizations in locating and applying to funding and wage subsidies. The intern is placed in a paid internship program through the Capacity Building Institute to support this transition.
The internship training was really eye-opening, like learning about how different boards work.
You know, we've learned about different things such as fundraising, outreach, communications, but even just ways in which you can create a better platform for your organization.
So when you do your internship with the organizations you are placed in, that you have more of an idea where to start and that you're not completely thrown into the deep end.
I feel like it's meant like everything to me, especially coming out of university during COVID, where there was so much employment loss. Just to be able to kind of come in and start from the ground running and to help support organizations now.
On my own, I would not have known how to go about finding interns because staffing is a problem with nonprofits.
The internship program started back in 2017, and basically we didn't have enough staffing capacity as small organizations to really do all the work we wanted to do.
I have to say I was a little bit worried taking on 2 students and how much work we would have to do and how much we would put in for how much we got out, but my gosh, within a week or 2 of having those 2 young ladies start working with us, it was just phenomenal. We were just so impressed with their quality.
So if we can help take care of some of the paperwork that's involved, then that's a huge burden off of those organizations. And then if we can support the interns to have a positive experience and help them, that'll also help to make sure it's great all around.
That connection and that community building of like, you know, we can't have a sustainable community if we're all isolated and in silos. And I think the networking potential that this internship has given me is incredible. Even at this event, the GLEAD Community Sustainability Workshop, a lot of the facilitators were other interns from other organizations that came out and volunteered and helped me with it. And I would never have known to ask any of them if it weren't for this training.
And to be able to do the work I want to do. Oftentimes, work like this goes unpaid, and it's very easy to burn out. And also, the work culture that's being provided, where it's more based on like growth and improvement in the role.
So it's a very convenient little kit. You just sift your little soil through here, okay, to break up all the little bits. Yep. And then you just put a certain amount of water in here with the soil. You put in this to help extract some of the microbes.
This is sodium chloride, so salt and calcium chloride.
And I find it's quite rare to get something that actually applies to what you learned right after university. A lot of people struggle with that. And I found that this was a great opportunity for learning. It's only 6 months, but I figured, hey, there could be opportunities after, and you never know where things will go.
There's a smog advisory in your area due to high levels of pollution in the air. The oil sands industry releases several pollutants, including greenhouse gases.
So day-to-day is a lot of logistic stuff, so we need to have everything figured out before we apply for grants.
My role was to do communications and outreach, so I handle social media platforms. I created a website. I attend to events with my other interns to really increase awareness of both organizations.
A lot of research for a lead generator that we created to help with signups, and that was 10 simple ways to make your business sustainable and profitable at the same time.
The main one that we're working on at the moment is developing a leadership and development program. Gentle Way's vision is for people to be be more eco-friendly, to make it easier for them to be eco-friendly and to be better stewards for the environment.
At Tucker House, I'm mostly finding ways to fundraise for the nonprofit and also going through the donor database and working through that.
I am doing fundraising and grant applications for our organization.
I've been working on case studies of different faith communities in which we're trying to document their journeys in their path towards energy efficiency and their experiences with our energy benchmarking program.
My role is basically managing the new planning for our Shorelands project for best management practices to help build the capacity of municipal decision makers.
I provide executive director reports at all of their board meetings. I also provide HR support. Some of these organizations don't technically have a paid manager, so instead of the interns having to kind of rely on the board members, like the chair of the board who is already busy because they have a full-time position, I kind of work as their manager, so I meet with them. I also help with risk management and legal issues.
Like, it's crazy the last few years how I have to adjust just gardening because we don't get the rain when we're supposed to, we don't get this heat, the sun when we're supposed to, just the basic things that we producers have to rely on. So in that way, at Tucker House, educational programs and just on the property, physically being here, you can see that you need this connection to the land no matter what.
Growing up in Ottawa, this really shaped my perspective on sustainable cities. I realized that my access to the environment was very different than a lot of people's, which really caused me to ask these questions of like, who has access to what? Who should have access, which I believe everyone should, and it led me down a path of realizing like, okay, how do we get cities to become more sustainable?
I studied ecology at the University of Ottawa with like a micro minor and science policy. The Kraft brothers, actually, some of the documentaries like Soyons Bêtes, and just growing up, it's like, wow, the world has so much more to offer that we just don't see everywhere. Like biodiversity is a real thing. And after going to my home country in Haiti and actually seeing some of that in person, I was like, yeah, I really want to study that.
When I was in the 4th grade, I joined like a school club called Earth Care. I just remember seeing these pieces of construction paper that the color washed away from it. But it was still fine to use. But the person who was leading Earth Care still told me to throw it away. And that felt so wasteful to me.
In elementary school, I had first heard about or discovered like the issue of climate change. And it freaked me out. Like, if you ask me what my biggest fear is, it's climate change. And so when I'm growing up, I never even heard of the field of sustainability. You heard, I want to be a doctor, a lawyer, businessman, all those other things. So I went through life not really knowing what I wanted to do. And then I discovered sustainability through my master's degree. I mainly found the field through anger and frustration.
Growing up in a Muslim community, when I realized in high school that, climate change is such a huge issue, why is the imam at my mosque not talking about it? Why do I not see this conversation happening?
Drought, floods, hurricanes.
I was upset, and I want my community to be engaged, involved in taking a leadership in sustainability. Many people come from countries that will be most severely impacted by the climate crisis.
Climate change. We appear to be on the path to a troubling future.
Like a lot of people, I was kind of lost after high school, didn't know what I wanted to do, took a bit of time off to work. And then I actually was going to do construction at Algonquin College, a program for that. And then I kind of figured, that's not really me. My father's into that, but didn't really want to follow in the family footsteps. So I took the environmental studies 1-year certificate program there, and I ended up really liking that program. And then from that, I kind of got inspired to do more into that field, and I applied to Carleton University and did the same thing for my 4-year honors program. So currently just graduated with environmental studies degree with a minor in geography.
I was doing child studies for the first 2 years of my undergrad, and I actually signed up for a class that was titled Sustainable Futures. And I had never realized that passion that I had was actually a sector that you could work in. I always just thought of it as something that I did on the side and that I was passionate about, and that people just did it volunteering or out of goodwill, which is still an amazing way to do it, and lots of people do that, but to find out that there was an entire sector based on that and you could actually work towards that really made me rethink how I can help people, and that really fired up a passion in me.
I didn't even know what sustainability was. It's just not taught in England. For me, it was kind of two big events that happened in the past few years. So the first was when Cape Town was really close to running out of water, and that just blew my mind. I had no idea that countries and cities were running out of water. And then I was in Australia when the wildfires were happening, when realizing that they have wildfires every year, but each year it's getting worse because of climate change and because no one's being sustainable. And I kind of decided I have to do more than what I'm doing. So I have to get into sustainability in my personal life, in the things that I love to do. They have to change and they have to become more sustainable, and the job that I spend 40 hours a week at has to be sustainable.
I guess it happened for me, and I had that aha moment scuba diving actually. So I started off by diving in the St. Lawrence, and here we were just finding a lot of garbage, fish getting stuck in certain things. My bucket list moment was to go diving in Palau. There's this one lake area where there's full of all of these jellyfish that don't actually have tentacles on them, so they can't sting you. Due to global warming, these jellyfish are no longer there. They're at deeper depths now where I can't dive. So that was definitely a moment for me where I realized that I definitely wanted to do something that was more important in my life and kind of make a change. And then I went on it to a trip in Maui, Hawaii, and there were certain parts of the island where we dove where the reefs were thriving, but then there are other parts of the island where there's a lot of coral bleaching, and you could just see that there was such a lack of, I guess, fish life kind of around those areas. So that was definitely kind of hardening to see that, experience that. I was working as a hairstylist at the time when that would have all happened, and it was just, I don't know, I just didn't find my career fulfilling anymore. So that's when I decided that no, I was going to pursue a higher education at that moment and come into the environmental industry.
Living downtown, I have seen how much pollution is in the streets.
So you got cigarettes, some pieces of plastic, like film.
Cigarette butts are a very big issue right now. They leach into water and really affect the wildlife in the area. So I would like to try to focus on that and try to help find ways to reduce the amount of waste.
The climate crisis is so multifaceted. I feel like there's many outlets in which you can do amazing, passionate work in.
Having other people that see the same way you do inspires more momentum.
Seeing people come together and work on these small community projects, trying to make their homes and their neighbors better, is just really what gets me going.
I think people don't realize how much they impact. They think it's one straw, one cigarette butt, but in the end, if everybody's thinking that way, it does add up. So even if it's a small change, it's worth making the change.
There's so many reasons why we should be transitioning towards a more sustainable future, and how we can incorporate different perspectives and knowledge systems into that, as well as also having a good time doing it, because I think it's just something that people think, yes, it's difficult, but it's definitely worth the journey, and there's much more positive ways to go about making the change than I think most people think about.
I learned a lot from my interns. I hope that they learn from me.
They help us to move forward, and they each bring something completely different. Also guarantee a little bit of a continuity, which we don't normally have with contracts.
You can give them projects, and they were doing a marvelous job and very professional work. We've been just really happy. This has been a terrific program for us.
What it shows is that there's a huge amount of capacity now in the sector that will help to support these organizations.
It's been amazing. I've been able to network and connect with a lot of different people. I've been able to learn more about sustainability and what I could do as an individual to not only make a difference myself, but to help other organizations make a difference. We only have one Earth and we have to treat it well in order for the future generations to be able to experience the same things that we have experienced and be able to appreciate nature and wildlife and air quality.